Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have always projected an image of unity, teamwork, and an almost unshakable bond in both their professional and personal endeavors, but the sudden eruption of this leaked evidence controversy has thrown that image into uncharted territory as more fragments of the alleged files are discussed online. Public fascination with the details grows stronger, creating an echo chamber of analysis, speculation, and outrage. The entertainment press is not only covering the story but dissecting every aspect of it, from the phrasing in the supposed strategy documents to the tone in the private messages that were included. One recurring theme in the leaked material appears to be the couple's approach to controlling narratives around their disputes, whether with other celebrities, business partners, or even the media itself. These documents, if authentic, reveal a pattern of meticulously crafting public statements while privately acknowledging details that paint a far more complicated picture of events. Such revelations strike a chord because they align with long-held suspicions among certain observers that many Hollywood personalities operate behind layers of managed perception and public relations spin. What makes this case especially explosive is that the couple are not just random actors caught up in scandal. They are power players whose combined influence spans movies, television, endorsements, philanthropy, and even political advocacy. The suggestion that they may have been selectively presenting facts to serve their own ends is a narrative that critics will not let go of easily. Public reaction is also being amplified by the sheer reach of social media, where millions of users can share opinions, theories, and memes in real time. Some of the most viral posts mock the couple's alleged private conversations, juxtaposing them with their carefully polished public statements. Others take a more serious tone, raising questions about accountability and the ethical responsibilities of public figures in positions of influence. A growing number of voices within the industry are also weighing in, some defending the couple by framing the leak as an example of how no one is immune to breaches of privacy, while others argue that high-profile figures must accept that their actions will be scrutinized more heavily, especially if those actions impact others in legal or business disputes. Meanwhile, behind-the-scenes sources claim that the couple is in constant contact with their legal teams, reviewing every line of the leaked files to assess potential damage, both in court and in public perception. Part of the concern is that even if certain documents are not admissible as formal evidence, they could still prompt opposing counsel to pursue new lines of questioning or discovery that might otherwise have remained unexplored. This possibility raises the stakes considerably and explains why crisis managers are treating this as a multi-front battle that must be fought in both legal and media arenas. There is also an ongoing effort to determine exactly how the leak occurred. Some reports suggest that a junior member of the legal team may have inadvertently shared the wrong folder during an email exchange, while others believe a cloud storage system used to manage case files was improperly secured, resulting in an unintentional public posting. While no definitive answer has emerged, the uncertainty itself has become part of the problem, fueling speculation and further eroding trust among supporters. Another aspect adding to the complexity is the timing of the leak. It comes at a moment when both Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have major projects set for release, including films with substantial budgets and marketing campaigns. Investors and studios are said to be monitoring the situation closely, aware that any sustained negative press could dampen box office returns or lead to costly promotional adjustments. Historically, audiences have shown some willingness to separate art from artist, but the nature of these allegations, rooted in transparency, integrity, and truthfulness, can make it harder for the public to fully embrace upcoming projects without skepticism. Industry analysts are already debating whether this controversy will have a short-term or long-term impact on their marketability. Some believe the couple could weather the storm by directly addressing the matter in an honest and open forum, a forum strategy that has worked for other celebrities facing damaging revelations. Others think the sheer volume and detail of the leaked material may make such a recovery far more difficult, requiring years of image rehabilitation to regain the trust of fans and partners. Beyond the professional ramifications, there is also the deeply personal side to consider. As much as the couple may present a united front in public, insiders suggest that moments like this can place extraordinary stress on a relationship, even one as seemingly stable as there's constant meetings with lawyers, late night crisis strategy calls, and the unrelenting barrage of online commentary can strain patience and magnify differences in approach to problem solving. If one partner favors a more aggressive legal stance while the other prefers a softer public apology, data-driven approach. This could create friction behind the scenes, yet despite these pressures, there is still a contingent of their fan base that remains loyal, insisting that the leak is either fabricated or taken wildly out of context. These supporters argue that until the couple themselves can address the material directly, all conclusions are premature. However, the longer they wait to give a substantive response, the more control of the narrative they lose, allowing speculation to harden into perceived fact. In the digital age, silence can often be interpreted as an admission of guilt, and in this case, the clock is ticking faster with each new social media post, headline, or video dissecting the alleged evidence. As the dust begins to settle on this unprecedented controversy, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are left to confront a reality they may have never anticipated. The leaked evidence has forced them into a position where every statement, every appearance, and every decision is scrutinized under a magnifying glass. The world is no longer simply watching their movies or enjoying their witty social media banner. The world is dissecting their character, their choices, and their integrity in a business where perception can be just as powerful as truth. The damage to their public image is undeniable, yet the story is not over. While some doors have undoubtedly closed, others remain open. The couple still has loyal supporters who believe in them, who argue that the leaks have been taken out of context or even manipulated to create a narrative that serves someone else's agenda. These voices may not drown out the criticism, but they provide a base from which a recovery could be attempted. The question is whether Blake and Ryan are willing to take the difficult steps necessary to rebuild trust. Doing so would require not only addressing the leaked material directly, but also demonstrating through their actions a renewed commitment to the values they have long claimed to uphold: transparency, honest act for those they work with and represent. The road ahead will not be easy. Crisis managers can strategize, lawyers can argue, and publicists can craft statements, but ultimately it is the couple themselves who must convince the world that they are more than the contents of a folder that found its way into the public domain. In time, the scandal may fade, as all scandals do, but its echoes will linger in the collective memory of the industry and the public. Their names will be mentioned in conversations about how quickly fortunes can change in Hollywood and how even the most carefully maintained reputations can be undone by a single misstep. Whether they emerge from this moment diminished or transformed depends entirely on the choices they make now. They could retreat from the spotlight, focusing on private life and personal growth until the storm passes. Or they could take the bold approach, confronting the allegations head-on and using the experience to start a broader conversation about privacy, ethics, and the relentless pressures of fame. Whichever path they choose, this incident will forever mark a turning point in their careers, a moment when the world saw behind the curtain and the illusion of perfect control was shattered, for better or worse. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have now entered a new chapter, one defined not by their on-screen performances or red carpet appearances, but by how they respond to the greatest challenge of their public lives, and if they can find a way to rise from the wreckage of this leak with grace, humility, and a renewed sense of purpose, they may yet transform what was intended to destroy them into the very thing that secures their legacy. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have long been considered one of Hollywood's golden couples, admired for their charm, wit, and seemingly perfect public image, but recent developments have shattered that polished facade and plunged them into a whirlwind of controversy that no one saw coming. It began when an unexpected leak surfaced online containing documents and files that appeared to come directly from their own legal team. These files allegedly contained details that were never meant to be seen by the public, including information that could undermine their ongoing legal battle and raise serious questions about their credibility in the court of public opinion. Insiders close to the situation claim that the leak was not the result of some outside hacker or malicious attack, but rather a careless mistake from within their own camp. The theory goes that someone in their inner circle either misdirected a file, sent it to the wrong recipient, or uploaded it to an unsecured location, from which it was quickly picked up by internet sleuths and disseminated across social media within hours. Hashtags related to the leak were trending globally, and news outlets were scrambling to verify the authenticity of the documents. The leaked evidence reportedly contains correspondence between legal representatives, strategy memos, and even candid remarks that suggest the couple may have been less than forthcoming in certain aspects of their case. One particularly damaging excerpt allegedly shows an internal discussion about withholding specific pieces of evidence until the opposing party requested them directly, a move that while not necessarily illegal, can appear ethically questionable in the eyes of the court and the public reaction to this development has been swift and brutal, with commentators, pundits, and fans all weighing in on the implications for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' careers. Many have expressed disappointment, saying they expected more transparency and integrity from the couple, who have long been vocal advocates for various social causes. Others have taken a more cynical view, suggesting that the leak exposes the truth about the calculated image management that is so prevalent in Hollywood. Regardless of which side of the debate people fall on, the undeniable reality is that the leak has put the couple on the defensive and forced them to respond to a situation they clearly were not prepared for. An initial statement released through their publicist, they called the leak a gross invasion of privacy and vowed to take swift legal action against those responsible. However, the statement did little to quell the growing tide of criticism and speculation. In fact, some argued that their response only made matters worse by failing to address the specific contents of the leak, and instead focusing solely on the act of the leak itself. As the controversy deepens, legal experts are weighing in on the potential impact this could have on their case. Some suggest that while the leaked materials may not be admissible in court, they could still influence the judge or jury by shaping the narrative around the couple. Others point out that any hint of impropriety, even if unproven, can erode trust and create doubts that are difficult to dispel. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have multiple business ventures, endorsement deals, and film projects in various stages of production. The negative press surrounding the leak could potentially affect these endeavors, as partners and investors may begin to see them as a liability. In the high-stakes world of entertainment, public perception can shift in an instant, and once that shift occurs, it can be incredibly difficult to reverse. Industry insiders note that the couple has historically been adept at navigating public relations challenges, often using humor, charm, and strategic media appearances to diffuse tension, but this time the stakes are much higher, and the usual playbook may not be enough to salvage their reputations. Given the severity of the allegations and the breadth of the leak crisis, management teams are reportedly working around the clock to contain the fallout and craft a narrative that can redirect attention away from the leaked evidence. One strategy being discussed is a carefully timed public appearance where the couple addresses the situation head-on, offering their side of the story and emphasizing their commitment to truth and fairness. However, such a move carries its own risks. If they fail to convince the public, their words could be perceived as empty spin and further damage their credibility. Meanwhile, the online conversation shows no signs of slowing down, with new interpretations and supposed analyses of the leaked materials emerging every hour. Some users claim to have found inconsistencies in the couple's past statements compared to what is allegedly revealed in the leaks, while others are questioning the motives of whoever was responsible for the release of these files. Conspiracy theories abound, ranging from rival industry figures seeking to sabotage them to disgruntled former employees acting out of revenge. Regardless of the true origin of the leak, the outcome is the same. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are now facing one of the most challenging moments of their public lives, and the world is watching closely to see how they will navigate this storm. Their next steps will be critical, not only for their legal standing but also for the preservation of their brand image and personal legacy. In the glittering world of Hollywood, where every move is calculated and every public appearance is curated to perfection, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have stood as a power couple that seemed untouchable. Their charm, wit, and seamless ability to connect with fans made them appear immune to the scandals and missteps that so often plague celebrities. Yet beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, a storm that has now erupted into one of the most shocking moments of their careers. It all began with a single leak, not the kind of minor gossip or blurry paparazzi snapshot that fuels tabloids, but a staggering release of internal files, documents, and messages that appear to come directly from their own legal and personal archives. This was not some vague rumor, but concrete materials that, if authentic, could dismantle the carefully crafted narrative they have built for years. The public reaction was instant and explosive. Social media lit up with hashtags dissecting the contents of the leak. Journalists scrambled to verify the authenticity of the files, and legal experts weighed in on the potential ramifications for the couple's ongoing case. The irony is that the leak did not appear to come from a shadowy hacker in some far-flung location, but rather from a simple yet catastrophic mistake somewhere within their inner circle, whether it was a misdirected email, a poorly secured cloud drive, or an accidental upload to a public folder. The result was the same: the private became public, and in Hollywood, there is no undo button in those leaked materials. The world saw a side of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds that contrasted sharply with their wholesome, polished image. There were candid strategy memos that revealed how they intended to control narratives surrounding their disputes. There were private exchanges that hinted at behind-the-scenes maneuvering that, while perhaps legally permissible, might strike the average person as ethically questionable. Suddenly, the couple who had built their careers on relatability and authenticity were facing questions about whether that authenticity had been just another performance. And as the world knows, perception in Hollywood is everything. Once the glossy veneer begins to crack, it rarely stops. In the days that followed the leak, the fallout was relentless. Memes flooded Twitter, think pieces appeared in every major entertainment outlet, and online sleuths began combing through past interviews and public statements looking for inconsistencies. Compared to what the leaked file suggested, the situation quickly evolved beyond a legal issue into a full-blown public relations crisis, and in many ways the latter can be far harder to navigate than the former. After all, court cases are decided in a room with a judge and a set of rules. Public opinion, however, is a chaotic, unpredictable force that can turn admiration into disdain overnight. Now, as Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds stand at the center of this media storm, the question is no longer simply about the case they are fighting in court. It is about the battle for their reputation, their careers, and perhaps even their legacy.